Hey, so it is Wednesday morning before race week. I just finished a 30-minute or so run, hit run, so got some intervals in there. The fast one's at a little bit above my 10K race pace, and then the other one is nice and slow, so catching my breath a little bit. So definitely did not wake up this morning wanting to run or really do anything. Wanted to go back to bed. Woke up with a really bad headache. Now I'm going to head inside. I'm going to get in some strength and go ahead and make it a leg day, which would typically be on a later in the week or on Tuesday or Monday, but the program I have, typically they do leg day on Friday, which doesn't work given one, we're racing this weekend and I want to make sure my legs are fully recovered for Sunday's race, but two, if I'm going to do a long run and a long ride, the last thing I need is my legs to be extra tired. So forgot to rejigger it yesterday, so we'll get leg day in today. It'll be a little harder, so I'll go a little bit lighter since we ran, and then tonight I'll get in a swim since I missed Monday night because I was supposed to get my hair done and then instead sat in my car, so in traffic. So that's the plan for tonight. And today, so I will catch up with you guys later. So it is Thursday night. I just found out or saw the email about our race this weekend being canceled. Obviously, we're in the middle of this heat wave that's affecting the vast majority of the country, people in Europe as well, having record highs over there. So frustrated. Now, of course, I made the decision to not go in to do a full-blown taper. So today, I took it a little bit easier this morning than I probably would have otherwise taken it. So I lost like a half a day. I had increased my sessions. They were a little shorter than they would have been if I didn't have a race, but yeah, it is what it is as things happens. Grateful I didn't taper, so now just kind of we're readjusting our plans on the fly, like we have to do all the time anyway with the kiddos. Plan is to get up super early this weekend, get in some long miles over the weekend super early before it gets too hot. Another long ride done. So this was supposed to be a complete recovery day, pre-race day. Supposed to do basically like maybe some very easy, like 20 minutes on the bike maybe, and maybe like a 10-minute run, and if I had time to get to the pool, a quick little jump in and out basically. But with the race being canceled, we obviously have adjusted our plan. So I got in a monster swim yesterday. It was actually almost 3,000 yards in the pool. I haven't done a swim that long, probably since before the race season started, because I feel like I've been in a taper recovery period for since the beginning of June. So felt good to really put on some really hard work yesterday. And then today decided to do a 40-mile bike ride, so got that in. I'm tired, I'm hot. We didn't get out quite as early as we wanted, but it's like roughly 9:30-ish and we're done. So tried to take it relatively easy. Took a little over 3 hours to get in the 40 miles. We have a lot of hills here, as I've said before, so hard is relative, says, and I didn't go as hard as when we raced here, but it's still a hard ride. So feeling really gross. Tried to make sure I stayed hydrated with all this crazy hot weather we have going on. That's a really important aspect. The first time I almost finished the water on the bike. Usually I have plenty of leftover water when I get off the bike. So definitely had that as a key focus, as well as making sure getting in the right nutrition for the ride, practicing really for Atlantic City in that regard. So yeah, have a long run then planned for tomorrow, and then we race again in 2 weeks from tomorrow. So get one more week of kind of some build up, and then we'll start another taper. Hi, so we are at the end of our vacation we took, which means we had a recovery week.
our next race, and we are in Alaska finishing up our tour of a kennel and a glacier dog sled tour ride. And so now, but back to get focused on training. I actually picked up a cold while we were up here, so I didn't get as much training in as I wanted, unfortunately. But it's a recovery week. We have a big race coming up this coming Sunday. It's a new one for us, so excited to learn a new course and see what that has to offer. And then we have a 1-month build into Atlantic City. So gonna go back and play with these guys a little bit more, and I'll check in with you guys later.
Hey, good morning. It is Thursday morning. We got back from our Alaska vacation last night. It was amazing. I never really like when we travel westward because the trip home always seems to take a lot out of us. So going to Alaska from where we are on the East Coast meant a 4-hour time difference, which going there wasn't too bad. We were able to adjust pretty quickly, but coming back, given the timing and the way the flights work, hubby and I were up for about 36 straight hours or so. When I do the math, at least I think that's what it comes out to be. So was a little nervous because we do race this Saturday, and it's a little bit of a longer race than what we're used to. It's I'm going to call it a long Olympic, and but despite the fact that I was unable to get really any sleep on the plane, so I was up that whole time. Got to bed at a good time last night. We got home about 7:30-ish maybe p.m. and I was in bed and asleep by about 9 after getting the kids all settled in. So was able to wake up on my own before my alarm this morning, about when I would usually wake up for work on a Thursday morning. So gonna go get in a run. I didn't get in quite as much training as I wanted to while we were gone, unfortunately. I did catch a cold about halfway through the trip. That was really, a lot of coughing. So wasn't able to really run with all that coughing, unfortunately, but did get in a little bit of strength too while we were there. So it's not like I did nothing at all. So feeling pretty good and rested at this point. I'm gonna do probably a slightly harder run this morning than I usually would, being that we're 3 days before race day, but that's only because I took so much time recovering. Then getting a bike tonight is the plan. Haven't been on a bike or in the pool since right before we left for vacation. We did plan it so that we did super hard, super long run and bike right before we left, so that we needed days off to recover anyway while we were on vacation from those training sessions. So looking forward to getting back into it. Not really going to taper into this race other than the fact that we were on vacation, so I naturally took time off anyway. So going to probably do harder session tomorrow as well. We'll look to get in the pool and do a longer swim than I would usually do 2 days out. And yeah, then we'll just kind of see how Sunday goes. We'll take Saturday probably as a lighter day. We'll see how today and tomorrow goes and how I feel. And yeah, looking forward to getting out and racing again. It's been a light race season because we've had some injuries we've had to deal with on our end, or cancellations because of this crazy heat we've been having. So looking forward to getting out this weekend and actually getting to race. And then we start the countdown. On Saturday, we'll be exactly 1 month out till our race in Atlantic City. So that means a lot of focused training needs to come in. I actually have one more trip planned. It's unusual. I've had more trips planned this year than I've had in the last, even in a pre-COVID year. So having to plan workouts around these trips, especially the longer sessions like the long bike ride, has been challenging this year. But I think I've managed it fairly well. So I needed to take a look at my calendar and schedule and see how I can adjust to make sure I fit in what I need to, despite the fact that I'll be in Nashville for my niece's christening in a couple weeks. But I'm sure we'll be able to fit things in. And yeah, looking forward to everything. I'll catch up with you guys later. And so was excited going in. Unfortunately, it's the postponed date's not going to work for me. Hubby will likely go and race by himself because he is around that weekend. I have my niece's christening that's been scheduled for like 6 months. So it is what it is. And I hope he races well and has a good experience there. He really likes that race. So bummed to be missing it. I've yet to race on that Boston course, so we'll add it to the list for next year as something that we'll be looking to get into our schedule next year at some point. So then I was supposed to race nationals the first weekend in August. It was the plan for, about like 9-10 months ago when I got the emails letting me know that I'd qualified for both the Olympic and the sprint distance at nationals based on my performances last year. And unfortunately, we had this trip to Alaska that was supposed to happen in 2020, and like so many other people, it got canceled. We postponed it, and when it got rescheduled, we had the issue that there was very limited hotel availability in the hotels in Alaska. So we were kind of at the mercy of when we were able to get hotel rooms, because this was a very big trip. It was my entire kind of immediate family with spouses and kids going. So when you have 12 people going, you're kind of at the mercy of the hotels and transportation of when they can take us. So it got bumped by about a week and a half from when it was supposed to be, meaning we were leaving what was the day after, supposed to be the day after the Boston Triathlon, and we were coming back what was the Wednesday before nationals. And I considered flying straight to Milwaukee to go participate in nationals, but looking at it and trying to be realistic, I was thinking I will have been running around with my family in Alaska for 10 days at that point. The only flights out of Alaska really were all day or all night, overnight red-eye flights. And realistically, how fast am I going to recover when I have a 3-hour time difference to adjust to, also coming back to Milwaukee, coupled with, work. I have a job. I have responsibilities back here in Connecticut, so realistically, can I take 2 full weeks off and then have to fly home right after nationals to be at work Monday morning? And it seemed like a lot of extra stress to try to fit that in. So made the call probably about 4 months ago that I was just not going to work, unfortunately. And instead, my goal was to work towards qualifying. Doesn't look, given the fact that we've had a bunch of races, some races canceled, postponed, and getting third instead of second in the 2 sprint races I did in June, doesn't look like I'll qualify for next year. But that just gives me a goal to work towards next year now, that it will be my second year in the age group, and I can, kind of prepare and hopefully not have all the same injury and illness issues that we've had so far this year. So I canceled those plans to go there. That said, we found a local race that was for that Sunday after we came back. And so we figured, look, it's a bit of a crapshoot. We'll do what we do, not knowing how long it'd take us to adjust, because that flight home for us was really from Alaska. The trip was absolutely amazing, and I'm very glad that we went. But from the time we got to the airport to the time that we got home, you were talking, it's more than 24 hours, coupled with the fact that because it was an overnight flight, we'd been up all day before we even got to the airport in Anchorage anyway. So hubby and I ended up being awake for 38 to 40 hours straight. So it definitely took some time adjusting. Figured, okay, we'll race. It's a recovery or taper week anyway if we want to race that weekend. So there was a local race that we were going to try to do. Unfortunately, I did catch a cold when we were in Alaska that did limit my ability to get training in most days. Unfortunately, I caught it about halfway through the trip. So the first half of the trip, I got in some strength with some resistance bands. Hubby and I got in a couple runs on the mornings before we went out on the excursions with the family, and that was all great, and I enjoyed those runs. And it was nice to not run in 90-degree weather with 90% humidity. It was like 36 one morning when we ran. It was fantastic. But unfortunately, with the cold, and I was a cough with the cold, made the call to not try to push it, didn't want to get worse. So I'd taken some time off. So I think between the cold, the fact that I did tweak my knee a little bit on one of the runs in Alaska, and just the entire family being exhausted the first couple of days we were back from Alaska, made it. And you add in also, it was like 95 degrees with 95% humidity the day of the race. We made the call to skip that race. Just didn't seem worth it. We were more afraid that we would get injured than anything else, and we don't want that to happen, or anyone to come home feeling worse. So made the call to not participate, which was definitely the right call, even though it was, again, frustrating to once again not get to a start line this year. So And then this cough from the cold has lingered, which has been annoying, and my knee hurting. So it's really, we've been home for a week now, and I still haven't really gotten back into a good routine. I've gotten in a lot of resistance training, focusing on that knee strength, because I did take that time off for the latter half of our trip in Alaska, but trying to focus on getting that strength back that I lost. And so, yeah, I have at this point, we have there are 4 weekends left. I am out of town one of those weekends, which will kind of put a crimp in my training a little bit. But the nice thing about running is I can always run anywhere. There is a YMCA that has a pool at near my brother's house. So we'll see if I can get in a couple laps at least there, a little bit of something. Maybe take the kiddos to the pool or something. Figure that one out when we get there. And yeah, so I hope everyone is doing great, and good luck with any remaining races that you have. I'll catch up with you later. Good morning. So it's been a month since I posted, and there's a reason for that. To say I'm disappointed in how last month went is probably an understatement. Frustrated, annoyed, pissed off, other adjectives to kind of throw in there to describe kind of how I'm feeling since we last posted. There's been a lot going on. So here's an update of everything that's kind of happened over the last month or so. So that kind of leads us to today then. So I recorded that last little bit, and then subsequently started still to feel like crap. So this cold I got, I'm gonna know it's a cold, from testing, that on top of that, my knee has continued to cause me pain, even when I'm just walking. So the cold lingered, a lot of coughing over the last week and a half or so made it hard for me to even just do kind of low impact cardio. I'd start coughing partway through and trying in my head to think about running it and going out and either biking 50 miles or trying to run even a 10K seemed like things that were unreasonable to even try to do given how I was feeling and stuff. So I continued to kind of put things on hold, did some really light kind of resistance band stuff, a lot of stretching to keep up my flexibility. And so now, about 4 weeks from when I began feeling symptoms, I'm actually legitimately feeling better. I think trying to push it when I first came back from vacation probably caused me to go downhill a little bit more, may have caused things to linger a little bit more. So I, took another week and a half and said, let's make sure I get better, because if I don't get better, I won't be able to do any racing at all. So unfortunately at this point, have had to make the call to not do Atlantic City 70.3. It's not the update I wanted to be posting. It's not anything I want to be saying. I started this year with 2 goals. One was my 40 for 40 that I wanted to get in, which was I wanted to do 40 triathlons in the 40 weeks before my 40th birthday, which was earlier this month. So I was able to get that in, and actually less than that. I had to actually realize couldn't do one a week like I initially planned, because when you're training for 70.3, which we were supposed to do our first one in June, it was unreasonable to try to do a full triathlon, even on a brick day. You need to get your rest in. So I kind of condensed them down and did a lot in the winter months when it was really more base building type workouts. And so I got that done. So I got one of the 2 done, but the second one was to do a 70.3 this year. So fortunately, we're gonna have to kick that to next year. We also realized, we learned some other lessons this summer too when it comes to that, because of the kids' school schedule and my work schedule, my husband's work schedule. Trying to train for 70.3 that happens in September, when we always go on vacation in the summer with the kids, or try to go somewhere with the kids in the summer, is hard. So, gonna take all those things into consideration now, a little bit more as we pick which 70.3 we're gonna do next year. Odds are we'll aim to do that Patriot half in June again. It's right at the end of school year for the kids. So we have the time and the capability to get the training in, even if we go away for their spring break, because that's far enough away that you don't lose too much. So looking forward to kind of sitting down with hubby and kind of putting together a schedule and thinking through next year. But I did get in a run today. It was 30 minutes. I'm actually visiting family in Nashville, so just literally went up and down the main road here, which is like the one road in Nashville that happens to have hills apparently. So I'm not sure how well that was planned, but now that I can go back to training because I'm feeling better, looking to get back into that, I feel fitness wise it's frustrating having taken almost a month off. Only in that 1 month period I think I did 3 runs. My fitness level seems to have gone off a cliff, so that's really frustrating, but we're going to work on it. So I'm going to look to get back on in a schedule, back in a routine. Unfortunately, we're at the time of year too that the pools are all closed. It's this weird thing they do in Connecticut. I don't know what they do elsewhere, but they choose to do their kind of annual cleaning and maintenance of pools right before school starts for the kids. So it's the last full week the kids are off of school, so, and there's no camps. So it's frustrating from our end because one, it'd be great to be able to take the kids to the pool and let them swim around, and 2, I now, when I have races in September, don't have access to a pool, and all the pools near me seem to do this at the exact same time. So of course on the weekends I can go get in an open water swim, swimming in the sound or going into a lake. At least the lakes that allow you to swim outside their little roped off areas, but I don't have access to a pool, which means training during the week is virtually impossible when it comes to swimming. So I'll be switching to dry land swimming drills or swim workouts, focusing on arm strength, seeing what I can get back there before we race again. And then the plan for the rest of the season at this point would be to do the Westport sprint triathlon in September. So that's the weekend after Labor Day. That's a super short, what I call super sprint, because it's it's a full swim, it's a half-mile swim, depending on where they put the buoys. It's only a 5.5 mile bike and a 2.1 mile run maybe. So it's really quick. You know, we're talking almost everyone or the vast majority of people here go sub an hour on this. So I think my time last year was something like 58 or something. So nice and quick race, in and out, beautiful sunrise in the morning because we're out in the sound and the sun's coming right up over the water. And then I think we're going to try to tackle Tough Man again, the Olympic distance, at the end of September. That was by far my worst race last year, partly because I had in September really backed off my training a lot after having trained pretty intensely over the summer for last year's races. So did horribly. Is, you know, very, very hilly course on top of it. So looking forward to the challenge. This one's really more, I want to show myself that I can do better. I ended up completely kind of crashing about a little over halfway through the bike, because that course, it was pretty much like mostly downhill on the beginning half of the bike, and then the second half of the bike is mostly uphill. So going to look to adjust our training route in Ridgefield a little bit to see if we can get some more hills at the end of our ride around town to challenge myself so that my body is ready to do all that hill work. So at this point, given my sickness and coupled with our vacation, I actually haven't been in the pool for over a month, and I haven't been on the bike for about a month also. So I need to get back on that. I'm away this weekend, so I'm gonna get a couple runs in, some light strength training with some resistance bands I brought with me. And then Monday when I'm back, I'll look to get back into training. I hope everyone has a fantastic. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch up with you later.